by saying congratulations on this film. My co-host and I sat down and watched this and absolutely fell in love with it. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
So guys, tell us a little bit about where the idea for this film first started out for both of you.
Yeah, so this movie came from, I mean, really the impetus of this movie was that I wanted to make a feature film. It was like the only thing on my bucket list. We had made a bunch of shorts. Dan and I had been making movies together since we were in kindergarten, and but I had never made a feature film, and it was like the only thing on my bucket list. We both had families, and we had houses, we had jobs, careers, and we never made the feature film. So I hit a point where I was like, I've got to go do this. We got to make this thing, and I'd always wanted to make something where Daniel played a mad scientist. So we just sort of packed up for a birthday weekend of mine and went out into the woods and filmed this, like a rough cut of a bunch of scenes to see what we could pull off. And it kind of failed a little bit, but we had some good footage and some stuff to look at. And I sent some footage to Daniel and we got kind of excited, but time kind of went on and we didn't get back to it right away. And then we got on a show called Rebel Without a Crew, and we made another feature film instead. So I crossed that thing off my bucket list. I made the feature film, The Good Exorcist. And then, but as we finished up The Good Exorcist, I was like, damn, we got to go back and finish GREYWOOD'S plot. I think I have a story that I want to tell. And we wrote the script, started figuring out what these characters were, and then over like 6 months, Dan and I filmed on the weekends. Maybe it was like 3 months, but we filmed on the weekends, put the whole thing together, and then and the movie became what it is.
Daniel, how did that feel knowing that Josh really wanted you to play a mad scientist? Was that something that he'd shared with you earlier on?
He waited about 30 years to tell me, and I was terrified. I'm like, I don't think we could be friends. Yeah, no, I was game for it. I'm like, let's do it.
Awesome. So guys, a lot of Aussie filmmakers start out the same way. We work with people that we tend to grow up with. For me, I still work really closely with the guys that I went to film school with. Tell us a little bit about how you guys first started out. Where did you meet and when did you start making shorts together?
When did we meet, Dan?
Oh boy, we met in kindergarten. So yeah, we met when we were 5 years old, and Josh was 6. And yeah, and Keith Radical, who's also in the film, Josh has known him since he was like 15 days old. So they go way, 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 way back. And yeah, we just grew up in the era where, we took our parents' video cameras and we just made our silly...
Which that footage is actually in GREYWOOD'S plot. The footage you see of us as kids is like the footage we made, that the little movies we made when we were younger.
Awesome. Yeah. So, did you guys kind of grow together watching films? Like, was that something that you guys did? Go to the video library and then sit down and watch films together as well?
Oh yeah, big time. We'd have movie nights, we'd have sleepover nights where Dan and I would head out to the Blockbuster or what was it called? Family Video or Hollywood Video or whatever we had in our area?
Yeah.
And
Main Street Video.
Oh yeah, Main Street Video too. That's right. Oh, that's the one we went to the most. And we would hit up Main Street Video and we would rent 4 or 5 movies, and it would be Gremlins, Tremors, The Relic, and I don't know, whatever, some action movie, some Bruce Willis action movie. And we would buy a bunch of candy and then we'd stay up all night watching movies together and talking about what we loved about them. And it was just a love of movies.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Josh, you had that idea of doing a film where Daniel played a mad scientist. Tell us a little bit about where the plot grew from there. When did this become a creature feature?
It became a creature feature pretty early on. I think the concept originally was that I sort of went I wanted someone to be turned into a monster. I love movies like Island of Dr. Moreau. I love The Fly. I love when people become something that they aren't and seeing how that changes them, their whole existential reason for existence. And so I knew that from the beginning that I wanted that to happen. But the movie really came together after that first attempt at filming. We had gone in the first time without a script. We just had note cards, and we had a concept of what we wanted to do, and we sort of improvised it. We wanted to really make a mumblecore movie more than anything. And then looking at the footage and seeing what we had, we sort of jumped into this idea. And after talking about it and figuring out the whole dog element, that sort of came from some different conversations and like man's best friend and all of this sort of thing. We sort of figured it out as I wrote the script, after we had done The Good Exorcist, and I was like, what do I have to say? What's important to me? And that's really where it came from. And then I wrote the first draft of the script, and then I sent it to Daniel, and he kind of took it and ran with it.
Daniel, after that first lot of footage was shot and you felt that it didn't work, did you kind of think that this film was sunk for good?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, we shelved it for sure, and like Josh was saying, we had an opportunity to make a completely different feature film after this, and so we had to write a whole new script. That was a whole new concept. That's a film called The Good Exorcist, and that ended up becoming our first feature film, like accidentally. But we just kind of knew after doing that one and going through it that we loved making movies. And so we looked at each other and we're like, we got to go back and finish what we started. And it informed a lot of things. When we first filmed in the woods, we were also shooting in color. And from going back to the footage, and Josh was messing around and he's like, if in black and white, this kind of has a Universal monster creature feature vibe going on. And I'm just like, yeah, let's roll with that. Like, let's lean into that. And we just kept kind of evolving from there.
Josh, how much did you learn from your time doing Rebel Without a Crew and then working on your first feature? How much did you actually learn during that time? And did that make you fall even more in love with film?
Oh yeah, 100%. That was my film school. Rebel Without a Crew was my getting thrown in the deep end and really having to sort of doggy paddle my way to the end as best as I could, kind of drowning, but kind of getting myself there to shore. And so when we finished that one and I was able to look back at it and look at what I learned, look at what, we saw it at some festivals as well, and we had seen it so much. I think that first feature, a lot of people have this idea that that's the feature they're going to be, that's what they're going to be known for. That's their big first movie. And I learned it's like the opposite, where I was able to use that as my film school. Some people like it, some people don't. Like every movie, like there's no movie that's just universally loved by every single person. And so I was able to take that experience, learn from it. And then when I went into GREYWOOD'S plot, I was able to think more about like what the audience might want to see, and I was able to think about what Daniel and I really wanted to say more than anything. What didn't I say in The Good Exorcist that I wish I had, or what did I film in a way that I would have done different? So I had learned so much from that process that it made GREYWOOD'S plot extreme, like way easier than it had been the first time, and it gave me the confidence to experiment and kind of do whatever I want.
Yeah. Daniel, we have a lot of film students who listen to this show. What's the bit of advice that you would give them if they're going into their first feature? Like, what surprised you, and what did you feel that you were prepared for when you went into your first feature away from Shorts?
Oh, man. I'm still learning. That's a great question. Josh, you want to take that first? I'm thinking on it.
My advice is that with the film school, I think a lot of times what happens is you get pushed into a certain piece that is sort of sacred to you. They kind of teach you, like, find your niche in the business, what you can do best, while at the same time kind of making you a jack of all trades. And then as you get out of film school and as you start to take on these bigger projects, I think the fear becomes that you're the jack of all trades of it all. You're kind of losing your specific niche that you're working in. I would say don't worry about it. Go make that first feature and try some things and fail and then try again and keep going. And work your butt off in your time away from your day jobs or your shoots that you're on. I think a lot of people end up burning themselves out in the business of filmmaking, and then they forget how much they love it outside of it. I would say just like remember to love it and remember to do that thing and remember to say that thing you want to say.
Yeah, and as you spoke to earlier too, finding your crew, like finding your like-minded individuals that are going to keep pushing you forward is crucial. It's paramount.
Especially right now. So many people they're hunting for the work and they want to drag other filmmakers down. Find your way to like build other people up and find your crew that is going to build you up and you want to build up, your team.
Yeah, I think the advantage that people have that went through our film school here in Melbourne is that Lee Winnell and James Wan went through. So a lot of people realize that, it is okay to keep on working with the people that you work with at film school later in life. Whereas I think people before that kind of thought, you work with these guys at film school, but then you've got to go out on your own and find your own crew. I think it was those two going through and remaining working together that taught everybody that that's okay.
100%. Yeah. And that's huge.
Yeah. So, Daniel, tell us a little bit about the shoot itself. What was the shoot like? Because were you guys shooting during COVID?
No. So we, we basically, everything was done by about 2019. COVID only really interrupted our film fest circuit. That's where things got a little wonky. But yeah, I mean, we were shooting most of 2019, and it was, like weekend warrior, we had our day jobs and we just found weekends that would work and evenings that would work. And, sometimes it would just be Josh, Josh and myself, or Josh and Keith. He would phone one of us up and be like, hey, can we shoot a couple pages tonight? And we're like, yeah, let's do it. So we kind of just, pieced it together, sort of Frankenstein style.
So Josh, the film has had such great feedback from the people that have already seen it. Does that put more pressure on you now with it premiering on the 16th, or does that make you feel a little bit more at ease?
No, it's just as much pressure as always. Like, I've been able to convince myself that I've made this for me, and I understand that it's not going to be for everyone. I mean, if you've seen it, you understand that it's a pretty polarizing concept. Yeah. And so we went into it knowing, and I'm actually, to be honest, like, utterly shocked at how positive the feedback has been. I think we found a way to really put ourselves onto the screen and put, like, literally, but also emotionally. And I think it's nice that a lot of people who have enjoyed it seem to almost feel like they're part of the gang and part of the process, which is what we were hoping for. So it's good. We pulled off the one thing that we thought we would, if we could get away with it, we might actually keep some people from walking out. But obviously, I don't think the nerves, I'm an anxious, antsy person to begin with, so my nerves never get calmed down. I'm always like, what are people going to think tomorrow? What's going to happen? Who's going to not like it, or who's going to, say something really wonderful? Even the wonderful things, I'm always like nervous about what they're actually saying. So, but the reality is I never thought it's not that I never thought, I just really hoped we would finish it, and you never know if you really are. And so I'm just so proud of the fact that the four of us, me, Keith, Dan, and Strauss plays the fly man in the movie, and he was like my assistant director on the whole thing. The four of us were able to go into the woods and somehow a couple years later come out with an actual product that we're very happy with, and a piece, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but like a piece of film or movie that I'm really, really proud of.
Definitely. Well, guys, to finish off the interview, from both of you, I'd love to know, what would you like to say to people out there who are about to watch this film? Daniel, I'll start with you.
Oh boy. Expect the unexpected. And just have fun with it. We wanted to do something that was fun, and like Josh said, we wanted to harken back to finding something and having actual ownership over the movie. So, feel free to laugh at it, laugh with it, and, also, like, have fun, be terrified.
Definitely. And Josh, what would you like to say to everybody out there before they sit down to watch the film?
Yeah, I mean, Daniel really said it. The one thing that I want to make sure that people know going into this is that they can have fun with it. They don't have to, overthink it. I think in the modern review era, we're all watching a movie trying to think about, like, what are we going to put on, Rotten Tomatoes after we're done, or what are we going to say about this movie online? And I hope that because of the way it sort of harkens back to the movies of the past that we grew up loving, that people will get kind of sucked in and just know they can sit back and enjoy it for its flaws and for its fun.
Definitely. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us today. It's been an honor having you on the show, and we can't wait to see what your next films are going to be as well.